And so we just started yesterday, very basic things we have seen about Python. And then I think most of you who joined yesterday newly, you have gone through the demo recordings, right, from YouTube. Also today you can ask me if you have any questions related to the course content or related to the course. Maybe once we complete the topics, at the end of the session, you can ask if you have any queries, right? And if you missed yesterday's class, the recording is available. We just started yesterday. It's not a lot of things that we have seen, very basic things we have started, right? You already know Python, and I think these are very simple things. If you don't know Python also, if you spend some 15-20 minutes, just forward the recording and see it. I think yesterday's class is also uploaded in YouTube. So in case you missed yesterday's class, please go to YouTube and check. Just we started, I'll give you a quick revision we will do every time when we start next day class. And then from there we will start, right? Okay. We started the class yesterday, and first we understood how to install anything. So pip install command, right? So to install anything, after you install a package, we have to import the package calling the import method. And then if you want to list down all the directories, in the sense all the methods available, so you will call this dir method. We discussed about help, taking help. So just help function will help or question mark. Then we started with core Python concept. The first thing we discussed how to print, what is variable, and then input from keyboard, if else statement. Till here we have discussed. What we're going to discuss in today's class. We're going to discuss again a very basic core concept of Python. Like we are going to discuss about function today and for loop, while loop. If time permits, we'll start with data structure. Okay. One more thing is, I think the announcement is not yet done, but we are going to start only data science project batch. So a lot of things are there which you, like data science is very vast, right? So the projects are from different areas. After you take this course, in this course, there are a lot of projects that we will practice. But having said that, the more you will practice, the more you will gain. So in the project batch, it will be mostly focused on one particular area, and then the project is totally designed on that topic. For example, if you want to understand more about, let's say, how to do image processing and implement everything using deep learning, then there will be a computer vision project. If you are interested to understand more about NLP details, so topic wise, there will be different project. And yes, domain wise, there will be different projects. So if you are from a particular domain, you can select. I will be sending the content soon. So there will be 25-30 project in the list. And the approaches will be very, very in-depth. So it's the reverse way of kind of understanding. But I will not recommend anyone to join the project without having the knowledge or basically completing the syllabus. Project is the secondary part which will boost your confidence, and basically it will help you in two ways. One way is a lot of ideas you will get after practicing 10-15 more projects which you can put in your CV. And in that course I will also help you. Basically it is a mostly interview preparation kind of batch. That extra thing that is, I mean, here we will cover, but it is a group kind of thing, but there it will be very much one-to-one kind of CV review will be there. And it is most focused on only hands-on, and from hands-on, we will go to the theory part if it is needed. For example, outlier detection algorithm. So everything in data science is very vast. Here in this course, we may be understanding about 2-3, but in the project, there will be only one project where the intention is to let you understand outlier detection algorithms. Maybe I'll teach you 15-20 outlier detection algorithm in one project. Let's say class imbalance, it's one problem, right? So each project will teach you a very one concept in depth, right? And that will help you a lot. So that is going to be, that we're going to start, and that is not a regular class because you need a lot of time to research and then do the project. So that will be weekly thrice. So Saturday, Sunday, 2 hours. And then Wednesday is only the doubt clearing session. So this kind of 1.5 hour limit, time limit is there, but if needed, I can extend. So you join the Saturday, Sunday class and understand the project. And then you practice Monday, Tuesday, and maybe other days. And Wednesday when we connect, or maybe we can keep any one day in the week. You will have a lot of doubts when you do project. Why not this way? Why that way? Why I should do this first? Why should not I do that first? If I apply that, what will happen? Why this is the way to do the problem, to solve the problem? Why not in that way? So all of your doubts, whatever it is, we can discuss in the doubt clearing sessions. So that is a new thing that we are starting based on many previous old student request, because they want many projects to practice, right? That is the thing I just wanted to tell you. But having said that, this course is sufficient. In this course also we are having 10 plus projects. Every algorithm, let's say linear regression, you have 3 projects. Decision tree, we have 2 projects. Tree algorithm, 2 projects. One project is there where I will teach you machine learning, pipeline creation, everything together. Then there is one more project related to computer vision, like deep learning. One more project related to Apache Spark, right? One more project related to NLP. So almost like 9 to 10 projects we are doing in this course. Having said that, data science, it's an ocean. So more you practice, more you will understand. And yeah, so that is what it is. Just kind of thought of telling you. But yes, once it is announced, I'll share you the content. Okay, so coming to this today's class, we'll start with function, or maybe we'll start with while loop. Can anybody let me know what is the logic of while loop? Where you will use a while loop?
Recursions.
Okay, so what exactly is a while loop? Like what we do? Like if you can tell in one line.
Repeating the condition.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I mean, while loop first the condition will be checked, then the statement will be executed.
Correct. So we are going to check the condition, and until and unless the condition is false, the loop will executing, right? The loop will continue executing. But when the condition is false, it will come out of the loop. Till the time the condition is not false, like it will keep executing. I'll give you one example. Let's say there is a variable called counter, and I'm just writing some value, let's say 6. Now I'm checking while this counter is greater than 2. What you're doing, just you're printing this counter. Remember, this is a block. So yesterday I told you indentation. In Python, indentation is very important. So you have to give proper spacing. So I'm just printing while counter is greater than 2, print, let's say I'm just printing the value of counter, right? And then what I'm doing, I'm decrementing this counter to counter minus 1. So in this case, first time when it is executing, 6 is greater than 2, condition is true. So it will print counter. Then it will make the counter value 5. 5 greater than 2. 4 greater than 2, 3 greater than 2, till that it will be true. So it will execute. But when counter will become 2, 2 is greater than 2, this condition is false. So it will not enter into the loop, it will come out. So the logic of while loop is until and unless the condition is false, keep executing. When the condition will be false, you come out of the loop, right? So sorry, this is not a string. So this is while loop syntax. Very simple. While, condition, colon, and then write your body part, whatever logic you want to write. So I think you understood if else, you understood while. There is one more loop called for loop, right? So for loop, the syntax of for loop in Python is slightly different than what you write in other languages. Let me first write it and then I will explain. So for example, I'm writing for I in, there is a function called range I'm using. I'm writing for I in range of let's say I value starts from 1 and it should go till, let's say 5. So I'm writing 6. So the ending index, first range, the first is the starting index. So first, what you want the I value that you will write. If you don't write the starting, default is 0, but starting index, I want the first value of I should be 1 and it should go till till 5. So I equals to I plus plus, we used to write, right? Or I minus minus. So each iteration, I value will be incremented to the next value, right? So first iteration, I value will be 1. Second iteration, I value will be 2, 3, 4, 5. It will not go till 6 because ending index is exclusive. If I'm writing 6, it will go till 5. And the last one is step size, I plus 1 or I plus 2 or I plus 3. What is the step size? How you want to increment or decrement? If I write here 2, so it is I plus 2, right? 2, 2. So default, if we don't write anything, it is plus plus, means every time 1, 1 increment, it will 2. And then I'm just writing the logic here, whatever I want to do. So this is the syntax of for loop for I in a range. So you're using a range method, right? Where you are basically mentioning the starting index, ending index, and also you are mentioning the step size. If you're not mentioning the step size, then it is by default, it is 1, 1. Okay. Sometimes you may not be having I value continuous values, right? Sometimes let's say I is different. Then you can use a list instead of range. What is a list? Very soon we will understand. Maybe today's class only we will discuss. So list is a data structure or data type in Python. Within this bracket, I can write the I values. Right? For example, the I values, first I want 6. In the second iteration, I want 7, or maybe I want 9. Third iteration, I want I value to be 1. Fourth iteration, I value to be 6. And then I'm just using this I or doing something, whatever I want to do, right? Or for this purpose, maybe I will simply print it. So I increment, decrement, if it is continuous increment or continuous decrement, range function you will use. And if it is some random, like anything that you want to keep, you can write it inside list. How to do decrement, right? Decrement means nothing but, let's say if I want to start the I value from 5 and I want to do decrement, right? So you write the starting index here. Let's say 6 is the starting index. I will write till what I want. Let's say I want, I'm just writing -6. And if I run this, and then the step size, I just want to write the step size as -1. So what will happen is you can see 1, 1, 1, 1, it is decrementing till -5. So if you want to decrement it, let's say till 2 or whatever, so you can write, and then till 3 it will go. So this is just little tricky. You need to remember. So 2 means it will not go to till 2 because it is ending index is exclusive. So ending index, whatever you're writing, the before like part, till that it will go 6, 4, 3, it will go 2, it will not go, right? So ending index is exclusive. So by writing this -1 or +1, you can either increment or decrement. Is this for loop is clear? For loop is clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, if we will give here +1 in place of -1, then what will happen?
Wrong, right? So you're starting index should be 2. So
Okay.
yeah, so starting ending you have to exchange. Then it will be +1.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. So the first index, this one is starting. So we will move to go to meeting maybe next week. I have pen, I can write everything there. Here, I think as it is a demo link, the pen is visible. So I'm not able to write anything. When we go to meeting, I have pen, so I can write in the screen, right? So I think next Monday onwards, we'll move to go to meeting.
Ma'am, if you will write +1, then it will give any error or what?
Nothing will happen. See, starting is 6, ending is 2. How you will do +1? Is it possible?
Okay.
So you understand the flow now. So starting is starting index, ending index. So increment or decrement, based on that you will write. If
Okay, ma'am.
bigger than ending, then obviously it is decrement. Okay, so you can write start index.
Can we
Yeah.
print negative numbers in such a way?
Yes, you can do that. So I have done that now. -6 I have written. So for example, -6, if you write, it will go from 6 to -6, decrement 1, 1, 1, 1.
Okay.
Yeah. So anything, any I value you want, you can use it for increment, decrement. So this is, or if you are a little confused, you can, or it is not continuous, you can always write it within list, all the values. Okay. So for loop and while loop we understood. Next we will discuss about function. So what is a function? Any idea what is a function? Why we use function?
You can write a bunch of like code and logic single place and we can reuse.
Yes. So one word, if I have to tell, the purpose of using function is code reusability, right? So function is something where we will write the definition or the logic of that function within one block, and whenever we need that logic, we will be simply calling that function instead of writing the logic again. For example, let's say it's like when you're preparing curry, so ginger paste is required, right? So if you prepare curry, you need ginger paste. Somebody else is preparing the same curry, same recipe, same ginger paste. So how many people has used this ginger paste? Maybe 10. So everyone is making their own, right? So it is a time-taking process. Instead of that, you make the ginger paste and keep it in fridge. Whenever you need it, just use it. So similarly, if you are going for a mathematical operation or any logic, let's say quick sort, or let's say simple mean, let's say average you are finding, right? So take the sum and divide by total. So the logic is not going to change, right? Whether you write the function or somebody else, but the logic of mean is constant. You take the sum and then divide by total. So if you don't have this function concept, in data science, many times you need mean, right? And you will write the same logic. Somebody else in your team will write the same logic. Same logic code you will kind of repeat. Same logic code you will repeat. Instead of that, it is better to write that logic in some kind of definition. And then whenever whoever need that mean logic, just they need to call. No need to repeat the steps. Already it is written. The logic is already written. And then just call the function and then you use it. So this is code reusability. Write once, use always, right? So this is very helpful. And how to do it? There are two parts. First is your definition part. And then we can, there is another part called function call. How to define? Define means logic. So you will start your code by writing DEF followed by the function name. Let's say I'm writing the function name add numbers. It's a very simple function. I'm just using this add number, which will take 2 input. So let's say 2 input, it is taking 2 input. And what it is returning? It is returning the sum of those 2 input. Very simple function, nothing fancy here, just 2 lines. First, how to write or how to define a function. Let us understand. So DEF or definition, function definition, DEF keyword followed by the name of the function, that is add number or any name that you want to give. In bracket, write the parameters, all the inputs, and then colon, and then write the logic. So what exactly that function is doing. So it is returning the sum of those 2 numbers. This is function logic. Now, anybody want to add 2 number, they will not write this logic again. Simply, they will call that function. How to call that function? Write the function name and within bracket, you write the parameters. So what all parameters is needed? Let's say I want to add 6, 7, and 8. So when I want to add 7 and 8, I will simply write add number, and within bracket I'll write 7 and 8 and shift enter. So it will return me 15. So anything that you want to add, just A will be replaced with 7, B will be replaced with 8. It will return 7 plus 8. This is how you write functions in Python. We'll do some assignments. Maybe this Friday after the class is over, I will upload 2-3 questions. One is from function, and other questions are from data structure. Please try to complete it. Maybe on this weekend you practice. More function questions I will give you, so it will help you to practice and kind of get that hands-on experience, right? So the logic is very simple. So first you have to define your function and then call your function. While you're defining DEF followed by the function name, within bracket the parameters if it is present, and then you write your logic, what that function is doing. And then when you call your function name and then pass the parameter, it will return you the value, right? Or whatever logic that will be executed. Okay. Now, if you understand this, any question in function? Is this clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Clear, ma'am.
Now, this is time for you to do a quiz kind of thing. Very simple thing I'll give you. Can you write a function? I don't want syntax, completely fine. You may do some mistakes. I just want your thinking process. How to find mean, average, average, right? So take a number. Let's say I'm making it simple. Let's say there are 5 numbers, right? I'm making it very simple. So it's not dynamic, it's static. Let's say 5 numbers are there. Total length of that, let's say 5 numbers. A function will take 5 numbers as input, and it will return the average of that 5 number. Give me the definition logic. Write it in the chart window. Maybe you can take 5 minutes time. Think about it. A function which will take reference from this code, syntax, if you have any confusion. 5 numbers it will take as input and return the average of those 5 numbers. The logic of average, I think everybody knows. Sum of all of those 5 numbers divide by the total. Okay, only the definition you write. Take your time because first program, so 5 minutes you can take. I know many of you are already working in Python, so I think it will be easy, but just for a quick revision, right? Okay, I got some answers, but I'll wait for others. Okay. Yeah. So the logic is very easy if it is hard-coded 5 numbers. But I think, yes. So it is easy, but if it is dynamic, maybe you can think a little bit. Maybe after 1-2 class, you can write dynamic also. Like any number, if somebody is passing, you can return the sum and then divide by n, right? As of now, 5 numbers. So yes, I think most of you has given correct answer. Maybe what I will do is I'll take any of your like answers and paste here so that others can see. It's a very simple kind of logic. So basically this f is the function name. So always make it a practice whenever you write some name, it should actually tell what that function is doing, right? Why? Because it's a good coding practice. In your team, a lot of people will be using your code, and the function name, if it is not kind of very much what it is doing, then it will be confusing. For example, if you write A, B, C, there will be a little kind of confusion. What is the name, what this function is doing? But average, many people will understand. For example, let's say average logic or something, any name you can write. So this average logic function, what it will do is it will take 5 numbers. Okay, this is taking 5 numbers. And then what it is returning is adding all of this 5, dividing by number total, that is 5, and then printing it or maybe returning. Very simple logic. I think you all understood, right? Because you are able to answer. There is a one more way of writing function if it is a simple function, that is called lambda expression. So lambda expression is a function. What is lambda expression? Lambda expression is a function. And this is a kind of different way of writing the same function. Can you write every function in lambda way? Answer is no. Lambda expression you can use only when the function is very simple, or maybe 2-3 lines of code. The logic is not so complicated. If the function is complicated, let's say you have 10-15 lines of code, a lot of logics you're implementing, lambda expression will not work, right? So I think you understood. Lambda expression is a function where you will use it if the function is simple function or very simple logic, just 2-3 lines. Then you can use lambda expression. How to write the same function using lambda way? Let's say the average function I'm writing. I will start with the keyword lambda. And then I will not give any name to my function. This is anonymous function, or you no need to write the name. 2 things you will write, lambda and then colon. Left hand side of this, you will write only the parameters that is required. I need 5 parameters. I'm writing x1, x2, x3, x4, and x5. Any 5 parameter I want as input. What is the output? Output is just sum of all of those divide by divide by 5, right? Or if it is little complicated, let me give you an easy example first, right? So let's say you are doing the sum operation, sum, right? So what you will do is you will take 2 parameters, x1 and x2, and what you will return? You're going to return x1 plus x2. Very simple, no confusion. Now, if you run this, see, this is telling you this is a function. So this is called lambda expression. This is a function, and this is done. So just 1 line and done. And anytime you need it, you can actually like g of 7, 8. So what it will do is it will give you x1 will be replaced with 7, x2 will be replaced with 8, 7 plus 8, it will return, that is 15. So if I have to find the average, similarly, I will extend it, x1, x2, let's say x3, 3 number average. So what I will do here, x1 plus x2 plus x3, right? And then I will divide it by 3. So this is the logic, and this particular function will take 3 numbers, let's say 2, 3, and 4. What is the average? 4, let's say 1, right? So 3, or basically, let me make it simple, right? 3, 3, 6 divided by 3. So what is the average? 2. So easily you can get it. So what I mean to tell you is the lambda expression is another way of writing a simple function where you don't need to write the name of the function. It will start with lambda keyword, and then you write the parameters and what logic you want to apply to that parameters. You can write here. In future, we are going to use lambda expression. Lot of times in many projects, you will get lot of usage there. But is the syntax for lambda expression is clear? Any questions in lambda expression?
Yeah, I mean, the average always returns a float value.
You can convert it like it is just returning the total value.
Yeah, I mean, by default, it is returning a float value, right?
Sometimes, yes, sometimes float also, right, will be there. It is, let's say 7, then what will be the answer? 7 divided by 3.
Yeah.
Okay, so yes, so more on this lambda expression we will see later when we go. I think I'll give you one example, but as I'm saying, this is maybe a little early for you to understand. Yeah, any question you can ask in the meantime.
Lambda means nameless function. Okay.
Nameless function, yes.
Okay, we are using some variable, G variable. Why you?
Here it is just to explain you, but later when we go to data frame, this is the help of lambda. I'll give you, please go on mute, let me explain. So most of the time you don't need any function. So I'll give you one simple example. Let's say we have a column where we have date. Basically, let's say I'm just giving you one example. Can you see this date column? We have year information, we have month information, we have day information, and then we have hour, minute, and seconds. Right? So what I want is the objective is I need to create different new column. Let's say one column which will store only year from this timestamp. One column which will store only month. One column which will store only day. One column which will store only hour. 4 new column I want to create. So what I will do is, don't worry, you will not understand. This is data frame. We'll see later, but this is just at high level. I'm telling you the advantage of using this this thing like the lambda expression. If you don't use lambda expression, you write 4 function. Every function is very, very small. See, what you're doing is just dot hour. So this is default functions are available in Python. Just it will return from the timestamp. It will return the hour, month, week, and all that values. So you are writing 4 functions, right? One function will convert date to time, time to month, time to year, and all that. And then one by one, you're applying this function or calling this function on this data frame column. Instead of that, if you write lambda expression, how simple it is. Just in one line, and also you can apply dot operator and 4 or 5 functions at a time you can write in one line. So lambda expression is completely optional. Don't think always you have to write it. You find it is difficult, always you can go with traditional way. You define it and then call it. But in real time, if you know lambda expression, coding will be faster. Small code, if it is small function only to define and call, directly you can call it using lambda. Is it clear? Not clear, then wait. Later we will revise it again. Okay. But at least you understood that lambda expression is basically many people, they are confused. Lambda expression is a function actually. Okay. Okay. So we understood about functions, for loop, while loop, input from keyboard. We have other topics. We'll see that. That is nothing but your data type. So in Python, we have different kind of data type. I am going to share the notes with you now, where you will get all of this, whatever we are doing in the class. The complete description is there, what all data types are there. But in Python, major data types are numeric. So in numeric, we have integer, float, complex numbers, and all that. We have string type, right? We already seen string type. We have bytes, mostly useful for arrays or basically images. Then we have other data structure or data types. So we have 5 native data structure or data type. That is, native means when you install Python, you will get all of this. One is list, one is your tuple, one is your set, one is your dictionary, and then the final one is nothing but your string. Along with this, 2 additional data structure we will be learning through libraries. Additional means third party. It is not there in Python. You have to install it and then use it. That is NumPy, mostly for array and math operations. And another data structure is pandas. So pandas will give you 2 things, and that is nothing but your series and data frame. So pandas will give you series and data frame. What is series? What is data frame? Complete tutorial we will have. NumPy will give you arrays, matrix and vector. right? Vector and matrix. So vector is one-dimensional, matrix is multi-dimensional. So we are just writing arrays. String, dictionary, set, tuple, list. So I think we just started data structure, and this will take complete thing to cover. One complete week is required for NumPy, pandas, and other data structures we can see maybe in 1 or 2 classes. So this is the takeaway for next few classes, maybe 3, 4, 5 classes. We will be discussing about data structure: list, tuple, set, dictionary, string, NumPy, pandas. This is very important. Any program you're writing, many of the time you will be using this data structures. You know function, you know loops, you know basic things like how to print and all, you know function, you know the data types. With this, I think a basic core Python concept, and with this advance, you can understand any code and you can write it. When I go to my any machine learning project, let me show you some examples so that you can understand. So let's take any project example, right? Let's say, let's take this, right? This is just one project example. So any machine learning project you open, let's say this is the data set. Everything starting to ending, 80-90% of the code you will be writing using libraries. We have for modeling, we will have sklearn library. For data cleaning, I will tell you about the data science project lifecycle, maybe not now, but maybe later when we go to the class, machine learning class. That time I will tell you the data science lifecycle. Data science lifecycle means what? What all project steps are there? For example, data cleaning, right? Data collection, data cleaning, or data pre-processing, then modeling, then validation, then deployment. So all of these things we will understand. In each step, we have certain things to do. So when we will follow those life cycle and then complete one by one step, most of the time we need visualization. For that, we have set up libraries. For other things, we see hardly we are using other Python concepts. In this, any project you open, all of these things, see your matplotlib, seaborn, again, for this graph. Again, this entire thing is for kind of, again, visualization. This is also visualization. So if you go to this part, this is all pandas code. And then another library, we are starting sklearn. This is entire code is written in sklearn. See, anywhere we don't need much of other Python concepts. So I think I have to show this. Most of you are having a doubt to know the correct path of learning. So we have a bunch of libraries that we're going to learn, like sklearn. So all of this entire modeling, 10 to 15 algorithms, whatever I'm implementing in this project is from sklearn. And then once I know this, then I have my other separate bunch of code related to machine learning or related to sklearn that I will write. Randomly, if you open any project, let's say one more project, if I show you, let's say this is one more project. So any project you blindly open, hardly, so let's say these are the steps: data collection, data pre-processing. In data pre-processing, you're doing all of this, and then model building and all that. See, if you see the imports, it's sklearn again, matplotlib, seaborn, pandas, numpy. So we have a bunch of libraries, which is kind of most of the time, 80-90% of the time we will be using, right? So with core concept and with libraries, I think we can complete the project very nicely. Later on, if you have time, you go for OOPS concept of Python. Okay. Okay. So, okay. So we will just start this all data types one by one. The first, what all we will be completing in this particular data structure. First, we will understand how to create a data structure. Then we will understand the properties, right? Properties means basically, first we will understand the properties, and then we will understand how to create a data structure. And then we will understand selection, how to select elements from the data structure, right? Selection or indexing, basically. And then we will understand update. So update means what? Adding, deleting, add, delete, and then we have replace, right? So all of these three operations, and then we have finally, we will see operation. Using the data structure, what all operation we can do. So properties: create, selection, update, and operation. Right? These 5 things we will see for everything till NumPy. Pandas is separate. Pandas is very vast. Lot of things you can do using Pandas. So Pandas we'll see very detailed way. Lot of operations we will discuss. Okay, so let's start with the list. Or maybe we have 10 minutes left. Maybe we can start with list tomorrow onwards, the data structure part. Again, as this is a demo week, I'm going slow. And I'm giving time for everyone to revise your core Python concept this week. People who already know core Python, let's say you already know core Python, you are a Python developer, I will tell you to utilize this week learning SQL parallelly if you have time, if you already know these concepts, because later you may not find time when we start NumPy, Pandas and advanced modules. You may not find time for learning anything extra. So people who already know core Python, they can either utilize this particular week learning advanced concept of Python like OOPS and all if you have extra time. Otherwise, SQL will be more relevant to learn because SQL is something which is not there or not included in the syllabus. Because I believe most of you are from software engineering background and you have a SQL background. So you don't need to go very in depth, just the intermediate level of SQL, the joins, the order by, all of those where clause, all of those basics kind of SQL, you can utilize refreshing or maybe revising if you already know. And then next Monday onwards, we'll be starting with NumPy. Any question in today's class? Today's class, is it clear? Any question?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So, yeah, I think anybody is there who joined today newly? Today is the first class or everyone already attended all the classes before? So, train sound is, sorry for this, my house is nearby the station. Okay, so I think everybody attended the demo sessions, right? Like you don't have any questions. SQL video, it's unfortunately it is not there. Why? Because I have not taken SQL class for any batch till now. Having said that, there is a plan to include because it is highly requested by students. So what I will do is I will maybe for some batch I will do this SQL class or maybe one workshop I will arrange. It's a free workshop, anybody can join, and that workshop recording I will upload for all other batches. So I think 2 hours of SQL is 2-3 hours if I take. I think that is kind of sufficient. So I will filter, and then with respect to data science, whatever SQL part is very important, 3 to 4 hours will be sufficient. And if you spend time in internet, maybe you may take 15-20 hours to understand the same 4-hour content, right? So it's a filtered, summarized content. I am not getting time, but I'm planning to take a workshop. It's for everyone, all the previous batch students, everyone can join. I'll update very soon. I will take maybe within 15-20 days. It will be on weekends and the same morning time, Saturday, Sundays. You can join, and it's a free workshop where I will teach you SQL live. And those recordings, Saturday, Sunday, 2 days if you join, right? 2 hours Saturday, 2 hours Sunday. Those 4-hour recordings will be provided to everyone. Rest, next batches onwards, they will get the recordings. As of now, I have materials, but I don't have recordings. Right? So mostly I'm planning to take a live batch because we don't have recordings available, right? I'll update you. So maybe next weekend, if all are okay, we can kind of, we need to announce it so that a lot of people can join. So maybe after 15-20 days, there will be a live workshop for SQL, right? Where I will cover SQL completely. Okay. So I think we are all good. Please confirm your enrollment as soon as possible so that we can freeze this and we can go with the GoToMeeting link. Otherwise, every day you need to enter your name and phone number.
Ma'am, when the new batch will start?
New batch for what? Data science or project? Yeah. Data science.
The same one, yeah, full science, full stack.
Data science batch, actually, this is the new batch only. So we have not covered anything in this batch. Yesterday we
Yeah,
started.
but most of the content I have missed the last week and this week.
No. Last week nothing happened. So you can check with others. So last week it is just the demo session. We are just discussing the questions and also core. Next batch, if you are, see, I will recommend highly to join this batch because this is just core Python, just 30-40 minutes we have covered. If you see the recordings easily, you can understand. Or I'm going to take an extra class 9 a.m. next Monday onwards. So you can join there also. From scratch, we will start. People who missed, please join next Monday, both 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. So 9 a.m. I'm starting a new kind of demo sessions where it will be from scratch, only for people who missed classes. If you're asking,
From next week onward.
yes, next Monday onwards. Next Monday, 9 a.m. Yes, it will be from scratch, from this pip install, from very scratch. Again, if you are like waiting for the new batch, I think evening one new batch will start, but it is not going to start this month. Maybe next month will start. Next month, first week or second week will start.
Okay.
But again, as I'm saying, any batch means it will take 15 days, right? For forming. From day one,
Yeah.
batch forming 15 days. Demo sessions will be there for 1 week and then we'll start the core Python first. So it will be delayed for you. If you are interested to learn and go with the flow, I think you can easily understand because very, very basic things just we started yesterday. Otherwise, I will only not recommend. So if some content is kind of covered, I will not recommend anyone to join because you will not understand. I don't have time for taking recovery. And why I will do that? Because every 15-20 days, we are starting new batches, right? So I'll tell you to join the next batch. So that's the only, yeah, I allow till core Python. When we start NumPy, till NumPy, it is okay. Anybody joining till NumPy, they can cover easily. Once I start Pandas, means batch is freezed. We're not going to take any new enrollments. Right?
And what is means I joined this batch. Okay. When the syllabus going to end? By which month?
2.5 months it will take.
2.5 months.
From day one of starting, I think 20th September we started, right? Yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah, so 2.5 demo sessions you can skip.
Okay.
Ma'am, I have
the
one
thing is,
question.
Yes.
Ma'am, other
Sure.
institute is taking 6 months to 1 year to complete the syllabus, but
How much you're paying there? So telling the time, okay, but you're paying, okay. So first thing is I am feeling very guilty myself for making this is so quality content, but the price is only 16,000. The problem is we cannot rise the price like that, but there is a great planning of rising the price. 16,000 is nothing for data science. Everywhere else, same content, quality is even bad, and I can give you written, and they're charging 1,50,000, 2 lakhs. 70,000, 55,000 every month, 13,000, right? And you just, I have spoken with them directly one-to-one. And first you need to register and then you need to fill all your details. Then they will be sharing you demo links. And in the demo links, just I have done all of that just to see their syllabus, what they're teaching in 1.5 lakhs they're charging. Yes, I understand the faculties are world top grade faculties they're kind of hiring. Having said that, how much time the faculty is giving? Saturday, Sunday, 2 hours. You yourself check. So you join them and then check how many hours of classes, 6 months. If I will take only Saturday, Sunday class, the same 2.5 months, I can stretch it for 4 months or 5 months, isn't it? And those weekends only the faculty will take, and other days, the normal, like you will be getting the recordings, pre-recorded sessions. And yes, you practice yourself. And then on weekends, you can ask you can have a live sessions. Live session also, do you think a faculty from Singapore University or maybe IIT, my brother is IIT professor, I know what is the worth they carry, right? And don't you think they will ask, they will kind of answer all your queries, like simple queries, their choice, what they will answer, what they will not. You're not eligible to speak. You will just type in the chat windows. They will take it if the question is worth it. Otherwise, they will just skip it. So that is the way. I'm not blaming anything here, but I'm just telling the fact because I'm in this industry for last 6 years. It's not me, right? A lot of my students has gone there and then they are sharing what happened, and my own friends, they had taken this kind of courses. I have all materials from every institute. Yes, quality will be good. Actually, my maid is waiting. Give me 1 minute, I'll open the door. Hey, sorry, yeah. So I think, yes, I mean, hey, thank you, Kishore, for this compliment. Yes, so yes, so 6 month, 1 year, yes. So I agree that for data science, you need time for yourself to understand and cover the syllabus. That is at least 4 to 6 months you need. Having said that, either me teaching or either like they teaching, the content, what you will get is same from the faculty. The problem here is like you may be getting 2.5 months and then you are getting 6 month access, and we have a lot of flexibility here. Many students, because of COVID, they could not attend, and we are allowing them to repeat in the next batch. So a lot of flexibility like that Durgasoft is giving, and the recordings are provided so you can revise yourself. They're adding additional content, which we are giving you as recorded sessions. They're taking live sessions for that. And you are going to pay for that. It's not free. For example, Tableau. They will be teaching you Tableau 15 days or 20 days or 1 month, right? Actually, you need 2 to 3 days to learn Tableau. Honestly, if you know the grammar of visualization, it's a drag and drop tool. If somebody can write very high level code using Python and understand the complete concept of visualization, learning Tableau will be hardly 1 week time you can take. It's a drag and drop tool. And for a data scientist, you're not a data analyst where your core job is to create dashboards. Your task is to get insights from the data. And for that level, I think 4 to 5 days of Tableau is needed. But they will give you recorded sessions. You go through Tableau and maybe stretch it for 2 weeks or 3 weeks time. SQL, they will teach you for 1 month. SQL, most of you already know why you will pay for that. Coming to Python, I have seen that Python recorded sessions they're giving and 2 months they're stretching only for Python. R is not required. Most of the industries are already moving to Python. So all of this additional content, when you go with all of this additional content, and do you think a professor from IIT or a professor from Singapore University, what they're kind of telling in their syllabus will teach you SQL and R? No, they are there only to teach you core concepts, ML and deep learning. Other concepts will be taught by normal faculties, and those faculties profile, if you see, they are even very fresher. I think I am more senior than them. Like they're just 1 year internship they have done somewhere in data science, like you, like very fresher, 1 year, 2 year experience, or someone is just taken course from their institute and then they're kind of working there. Those kind of faculty will be helping you in all of those doubt clearing sessions. Main faculty will come only appear 2 times in a week. So that's the reality. You check yourself. Like if you want, I have just recently checked. I'm not blaming them. Yes, it is a lot of exposure. You're getting very high level faculties you are getting. Having said that, the money that you're paying there and the return that you're getting is not worth it. I think if they can reduce the price, that is worth it. But with that price, what you're getting in return, I think you can get the same thing in return here with, I think, paying just 1 out of like 10 times more you are paying. What GST you are paying there is the fees here actually. So I think you are clear, right, Asutosh? You're correct. So you need time for 6 months for yourself to learn. Having said that, don't think all the 6 months are classes. Ask them if they're doing every day 6 month class. You do this check from your side. It's weekly twice, only Saturday, Sunday class, right? Nobody is going to teach you every day, 1 hour for 6 months. It's not like that. Only weekend 2-day class.
Yeah, I have experienced that, ma'am.
Yes, so I know. So I'm not like, see, that is other way of kind of, that's a different level, mostly for people who are executive level, or basically they have a lot of money to spend, or many companies sponsored, like my company is sponsored, right? Most of the company, if you pay the tuition fee, company will pay half, at least 50%, or they will sponsor. In those cases, yes, it is beneficial to go. Having said that, the return will be content wise. If you see the core content, I will prefer those kind of courses for executive level who don't actually need to code, maybe 10 year, 15 year, 20 year experience, manager level. They just want to want a networking kind of thing and just want to know what is artificial intelligence. But if you really want to code yourself, content, where is the content? If you see the content there, yes, content is exactly same. What you're getting here, what you're getting there, the projects, everything is even here better. But other things are, they're charging for other things, like mostly the industry connect, other tie-ups are there. It's just a hype. In one line, it's just a hype. Many people whose company is giving money or sponsoring, they are joining. Or maybe people out of, I don't know, maybe they are so much afraid. People, they have a lot of gaps in between. They're not sure, maybe a degree. Many people join for a degree. They think that PG diploma course degree that they're providing will help them to get a job. That is just a certificate like any other certificate. And like you, there may be 100 of people who has money, they can pay and get a certificate. That is
Yeah,
not
they're selling the certificates. Yeah.
correct. They're selling the certificates, and that is not valid actually. If you go to product-based good companies, like when I joined Goldman Sachs, they went to my school. My school, they verified where I have studied class to 10th. So till that level, they will verify, right? So it's not like PG diploma course part-time, they will take it as full-time. It's different. Somebody has cleared GATE after a lot of hard work, and then they got a seat in IIT, NIT. They have really worked under those professors. They have some thesis. They have some research publications. That is never comparable with this PG diploma course, right? Yes, that will give you exposure. You will understand learning wise, it is good, but they're actually fooling you. That's not the reality. If you check, not with me, check with any data scientist who is really working in industry, check with them. Will your company accept a PG diploma course as a full-time degree course? Answer is always no. You yourself check. Today you go, download the JD for Naukri. You will see tier 1, they will mention tier 1 college master not from other college also they're not accepting, right? Tier 1 master's degree they need. When the requirement is tier 1 master's degree, how you think a PG diploma course will fit there? Are you getting? So you go yourself and check what is the reality. Just for certificate, you are paying money actually there in one line. But yeah, I mean, it's your choice. Anyways, so we are going over time. Sorry for this.
Ma'am,
Good morning, ma'am.
why don't you provide the job assistance as well?
Job assistance, I don't have time actually. I'm also working. So I think this course will make you independent so that you can work independently from day one. If you know the concepts, I think you can be independent, right? That's the intention of the course. But yes, the job assistant part, mostly we are preparing in such a way that you will be independent. You are independent resource. You can clear interviews by yourself and you can work in industry independently from day one, right? With very little help. And data science is very new. Many people actually are exploring mode. So I think this is a very good time to get into any data field. Okay.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
As a freshers, ma'am, data science is good or not?
See, data is good for everyone. Having said that, our industries are accepting freshers. Answer is, the unfortunate things is no. So for freshers, data science getting a role is little difficult. Having said that, there is a way to enter. First, you try for initial roles, like maybe related to data science, like data analyst kind of role. That is easy to get. Once you get into data related initial simple roles like data analyst, where you will be dealing with Excels and SQL, visualization and all of that, or maybe ETL like Informatica, any tool which is related to, or SQL related, anything which is relevant to data science, And then slowly you move into data science after 1 to 2 years. That will be easy transition. But nowadays freshers are also cracking interviews. So you may be exceptional, but normally I'm saying normal trend is data science means they need little mature people, at least in industry 2-3 years you are working, or maybe with a master's degree from tier 1. That's the requirement as of now. Most of you may not have a master's degree, so they're not also getting many people. So they're going with the second option, that is 2-3 years of experience. Now where you will get 2-3 years of experience. If you are working in software, I think easily you can manage with this course and a lot of change in the CV, you can manage at least 1-2 years of experience and you can showcase. Otherwise, if you're a complete fresher, you don't have real-time experience, the way to enter is data analyst or anything related to data science field that you can start working and then slowly move into data science over time, maybe 2-3 years. Okay.
Ma'am, are you going to
Thank
conduct
you,
the mock
ma'am.
interviews as well?
Mock interviews and all one-to-one I cannot do, but it is there. Interview preparation is there. So I will be sharing interview questions and CV preparation class will be there at the end of this course. So 2-3 hours we will connect and we will discuss how we can prepare our CVs, right? Like generalized way, I will take 3-4 samples and then I will take you through different projects, how you can write. What all are the points you need to include? Those aspects we will discuss. At the last, that will be the last class, maybe once we complete the syllabus.
Madam, one small question, sorry for interrupting. Are you going to complete the course in time or does it extend beyond 2.5 months?
No. We are very particular starting and ending.
Because I am a working professional actually, so that actually.
No, more than you,
Yes.
we are waiting because a lot of people are in line. So every 15 days we are starting batch and every batch we have 30 plus.
Oh.
So it's a very standard. So this is 55 number batch. Everything is pretty standard. So I know how much topic, how much time. It will be completed on time. Having said that, is there any medical emergency from my side? Maybe there will be little delayed. Having said that, it's not like months of delay. Maybe 1 week kind of buffer we can take, 1 or 2 week buffer. It may finish 1 week before or maybe 1 week after. Depends on the batch also, right? In one batch, if people will ask a lot of doubts, it may delay. People are very smart, they're understanding everything. So we will finish in 1 week before. So that 1 week buffer you can keep, but otherwise it is very, very on time will finish. Right?
Okay, madam. Thank you very much.
It's not going to be delayed.
What if, ma'am, we miss the class one day and the recordings will be provided or how is it?
Recordings will be provided. Every class recordings will be provided. So if you miss any class, you can get the recordings. Same day only, like 7-8 a.m. class is finished. By 9-10, you will get the recordings.
Okay, and what about the additional study material?
Study materials, recording, assignments, everything will be uploaded in the drive that I think has been created.
Okay, and the study material is in the form of PDF or how is it?
No, depends. So if it is theory note, sometimes it is. So I use different notes, maybe book pages or my notes. If it is coding file, IPYNB files, data set used, everything will be in what you see in the class. Same files will be uploaded.
Okay. One more question, ma'am. Actually, I'm already doing one course, which is happening on Saturday, Sunday, okay, weekends. So if I join this class, will it be difficult for me to simultaneously perform in both the courses?
See, this course needs your time. So this is not a simple language course where syntax you understand, okay, practice and done. Lot of logical thinking is needed. So this course is an intense course. So this course needs your time. So everyone who is not for you, for everyone who is enrolling, make sure you don't only give 1 hour to join the class. You will have extra 1 hour every day. Keep it aside for your practice. If you're not giving that extra 1 hour from your side, no matter how smart you are, maybe you will not get 100% out of this course. So 1 hour in class, 1 hour extra you should keep. And maybe on weekends you can extend, but at least 1 hour every day you should able to give. So at least you should open the files, run it once, do the assignments, those time you should keep. 2 hours every day, you can 1 hour for class, 1 hour for practice. Then it will be okay. So you can adjust whether you have the time or not. Accordingly, you can adjust, but this is required, at least 1 hour.
Means for now it's easy to it's not takes much time, but later on it will be hard. The syllabus will be hard. So
Syllabus will be hard, but I will make it easy. Having said that, you need some time to practice. That is for sure. Only
yeah,
a class will not help you. So you have to
yeah.
keep some 1 hour extra at least every day. That should be every day, not like alternate day or if you have day maybe.
The assignments and all that, the homework.
Yes, because if you don't do assignments, if you don't practice, I think no matter how well you are understanding, eventually you'll forget. So you need that extra, maybe weekend you can stretch. If you're not getting on weekday time, 2-3 hours on weekends you can give. But time is needed from your side, right?
Yeah. The assignments will be reviewed 1-to-1 or how is it?
Okay, so actually I'm getting late. This is 8:15, so I have to drop now. Any questions, further question, tomorrow we can discuss, right?
Okay.
Thank you.